Hey! What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, and smash the like button, and leave a comment in the comment section below and let us know what you think about the season finale of the Book of Boba Fett. I'm joined by Ryan zeeverfett. Now, Ryan, you got a chance to watch this episode as well.
I did.
We're gonna break this bitch down because there's a lot of things that I thought were really dumb about this episode. Some cool things. I mean, don't get me wrong.
It has some cool moments. Yes.
Yes,
they were pretty fire moments. They were like, oh yeah, remember the knees? Let's use those again.
Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, I remember that. So there were some cool things about this. Yeah. So I'm not going to say that I'm just going to dog the entire episode, but for the most part, I'm going to rip the entire episode as it is. Okay, so
this is a rant.
This is a rant, I guess.
Not to be confused with a praise or a shill.
Or a rancor. So here we go.
So
the episode starts with a backed out shot of most Vespa.
No, Espa.
Espa. Oh, Vespa is what you ride on.
Same city that Anakin and Watto and all them were, and Liam Neeson's character, they all visited Mos Espa.
Mos Espa.
And then Mandalorian visited Mos Eisley, and that's where the girl with the without the eyebrows, that's where she's
your favorite character.
Horrible character.
So you get the backed out shot of Mos Espa, in which I didn't know it was inside of a crater or canyon or whatever the fuck that is. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was like that. Okay, whatever. But hey, it's a cool shot. It's a big city. Yeah. Like, okay, that makes sense, right? Okay, fine.
It's a huge city. It's a wonder how a lot of people get around the city on non-speeders.
Yes, it really is. And it's hot. I wouldn't want to go there myself, although I went to Galaxy's Edge, which looks a lot like it. So I can't see why they...
Gets everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
As we move into Mos Espa, we go back to the only set they have, which is the club, and it's been
the only set. That's true. With the technology that they have, in that that one place that has the the projection where you can like pretty much go anywhere. They always choose
practical sets.
Yeah.
And look, don't get me wrong. I'm all about practical sets. That's awesome. But in a world like Star Wars, where there's so much rich environment and
I mean, look how big the city is, and you go to one place.
You go to one place. You go downtown, down to the main club in Mos Espa, which has been blown to smithereens. Okay, so apparently everybody inside this club has been incinerated because there's no bodies, there's no skeletons. Even Luke's aunt and uncle, there were skeletons left over.
Yeah.
These people, they're gone. I'm like, what bomb did you use?
So precise.
Yeah. So there's no remains whatsoever, just rubble and broken tables and chairs everywhere. And so then he goes, okay, I think what we need to do is we need to get back to the palace and bunker down or whatever he says. And the biker gang are not huge fans of that.
The teenage biker gang. They're not. Oh, that's not them. Hold on. The teenage biker gang. They're not big fans of this idea, right? Yeah.
And they want to stay. And the girl, I forgot her name. She goes, I don't want to leave. I want to stay. And this is our city. And so, what does Boba say?
He takes charge and he tells them, no, this is not the best vantage point. We need to get back to the palace. We stand a better chance there.
No, we're not leaving.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no. He said, I'll do what you say, little girl.
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay. Very well.
You'll call in the shots.
What? You're the freaking, you are the damn you.
Yeah, the damn you.
The daimyo of Mos Espa. And yet you're willing to take commands from the teenage biker girl. You're like, okay, well, if you don't want to go, then I guess I'm fucked. I'm going to stay with you in this abandoned, burnt down rubble of a casino.
Has anyone checked the back door for security purposes?
Is there other exits? Because exit stage left leads to a wall. So they stay there, and then it goes over to Cad Bane.
Yeah.
And so Cad Bane talks to the
syndicate.
Or not a syndicate.
What are they called?
I thought it was a crime syndicate.
I don't know.
What is that from?
What are they called?
I don't. They're called the
Who gives a
Syndicate.
shit?
Who gives a shit? It's a stupid plot, and that's the other thing too is that they're just called the Syndicate. Like, come on, can you give them a little something? Like I mean, even the biker gang had more of a like a
Yeah,
a look
I think
to
they
them.
were what Hell's Angels.
Hell's Angels. Are you an angel?
Oh,
So for the most part, they decided to stay there and hunker down, and so then they basically turn to what's her face, Fennec, to come up with the plan of how to defend the city. Because Boba Fett not doing shit. He's just like, oh, I got my gun here. I can barely move. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what he's doing. So it turns out she comes up with the plan because she's the one who's telling him, hey, we have, the Gamorrean guards watching where the planes come in.
She lets you know where everybody's strategically positioned.
Yes.
And of course plans don't go, or things don't go as planned.
Things don't go as planned.
Later on. Yeah. So, I mean, we get to the point where, the Gamorrean guys, they die.
They die.
They get pushed off a cliff.
Like in 300.
Like in 300, I was like, this is Sparta. This is Mos Espa.
But even before that, we see an X-Wing fly into Mos Eisley. And it lands in your favorite character, the girl with no eyebrows. It lands into her repair bay.
Right,
her
which
hangar,
is in Mos Eisley.
Mos Eisley. And so, the little robots come out. They all come running out. And come to find out, it's not a fighter pilot. It's not a marshal or a cop. It's not Luke, although it's Luke's X-Wing.
It's Luke's X-Wing, it's actually
but it's actually Grogu. Now, Grogu has decided that he's going to take the mithril, the same one that Frodo got from Bilbo.
Like it glows blue when orcs are near.
I think there's more here than meets the eye. Okay, so apparently he's wearing the mithril, and R2D2
He's made his decision.
He's made his decision, and R2 is the one who brought him there.
Yeah.
So good on R2 for following through with that. Say, hey, Luke, I'll give him a ride since your lazy ass can't fly him there, even though I don't know why you can't. Because I guess he has to stay and make sure that the temple gets built correctly by droids that don't make mistakes. And so, she sees him. She's like, hey, Grogu, how's it going, man? She goes, hey, buddy, I missed you. Grogu, that's his name? That's a terrible name. Ha ha. And it's kind of a cute moment. Like, whatever. Okay, fine. And then obviously he's there to find Mando. Because now we have seen that Mando has joined up with Boba Fett and Fennec. Okay. So now they're a group of 3, and then also what's his face?
So we'll call him Black Chewie.
Oh,
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum. This guy right
here.
Chrysanthemum. He's there. The biker gang is there. Danny Trejo is nowhere to be found. And obviously Boba Fett is there. Yep. And Fennec is there. Mando is there. And there's one more I want to say that was there. Grogu, yes. So we see that Mando has joined the team, and they have an exchange, which is fine. That part I thought was fine. But as you move further down, now Fennec has everybody all separated. Okay, which I don't understand why you send everyone. Like, why would you send 2 Gamorrean? Just send 1. You tell me 1 can't communicate to everybody else? Like,
well, the one had to do the lookout job, and then the other one had to translate for him.
And then you got the biker gang, which is over at another area, which is like the I forget what it was called, like the worker district. And so,
it could have been anything. I mean, but they're all together.
They're all together. Yeah. Why wouldn't you have 2 of them at the?
I mean,
where the planes are at,
right?
Yeah, and that's a big group to have in one spot. That doesn't make much sense.
Yeah. I mean, you got Chrysanthemum or whatever his name is. By himself,
okay, so
you've got and then you've got these other who else was watching an area by themselves. There was and then what's her name went off and rode on her speeder bike, and she went somewhere.
That was Fennec, but that was after they got attacked.
That was after. Okay,
really, it was Fennec, Mando, and Boba Fett. at the burnt down clubhouse.
Yeah.
And then you got the biker gang in the worker district, and
Oh,
you
right,
have
right, right.
the
So
Gamorrean
it's
guards
5.
out where the planes land at like the airport, whatever you want to call it.
Spaceport, yeah.
The spaceport. People are gonna rip me online now. It's a spaceport. So they have 3 areas of the city covered. And this is a big fucking city. I mean, we saw an image of it. It's huge. I guess it's the only places that they're going to come, right? So like, okay, well, we'll post them there. And so they're waiting and waiting and waiting, and they go, oh man, what's gonna happen? And then, hey, real quick, does Cod Bane show up first, and then they get attacked? Yeah, he does. Huh?
He does. He walks again because he walks everywhere he goes.
Right. Hold on. Let's start up again. All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So then Cod Bane shows up, and he wants to have a Texas showdown, which you're from Texas, so you know all about that.
He always wants to have a showdown.
Showdown.
He's like, let's just handle this old school style. He must be a very big Clint Eastwood fan.
This old school style. Yeah, he talks in his mouth. It looks really cool, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. Cod Bane looked amazing.
And it's cool that he's practical. It's practical effects. It's not CG.
And so he basically tells him to stand down or you're going to die. And he's like, I have lookouts too. And then the syndicate idiots show up. They have their guns like,
yeah.
And so you're like, okay.
And then Boba Fett's going to engage with him because he's like, remember what they did to the Tuscans? It
right.
Was them. Oh, no. He's like,
so he blows their cover.
And then Fennec's like, no, bitch, I told you no. And then
she did. So she talks him out of engaging with him. Yeah. Because she says that this is not the fight that you want to fight. I can take him, and he's like, I don't think you can. And so, really, he told him that information about how they framed the biker gang when they killed the Tuscans is because he wanted him to engage with him so he can kill Boba Fett.
Yeah,
and then that'd be the end of the fight. Like, oh, he's dead now. You guys are gonna give up, right? So he says no, and he goes back inside the burnt down clubhouse, and Cod Bane leaves. And then they have another discussion. They go, what do we do? I don't know. And then
stick to the plan.
Yeah, they're like, oh, is Freetown coming? And that's another thing.
That's a horrible name.
How can you come up with the only name you can come up with is Freetown?
Yeah, that's really like basic.
It's my really problem basic. With the show is that everything just seems so lazy.
It does.
We call it Freetown. Like, oh, come on, really? It had a cooler name before. Like, why would you call it Freetown?
We call it Cool Town. Because everybody's cool over here in the desert. Everyone's cool
here, yeah. Bartenders who talk like they're from Alabama. Whatever he is. He's like, oh, yeah. So they're like, all right, is Freetown coming? Well, I don't know. He also reveals to Cod Bane that he has killed the marshal. To his knowledge, he has killed the marshal, and that Freetown is not coming. So he's like, they're not coming. That's what he says. Like, whoa, shit. And so then they decide, okay, so we're going to go out in a blaze of glory. So he tells Fennec, he says, hey, go to their command and control center and kill the leaders. Because at the same time, they come to find out that they are a trap is being set. So now the biker gang is on the run. They're getting shot at and they're hiding behind pallets.
So, but it all happens at the same time. Like the Gamorrean guards get, they get ambushed. The kids get ambushed. Chrysanthemum, the Wookiee, he gets ambushed. And he takes a lot of laser beams for somebody that has zero protection.
You know what? Wookiees have thick fur. And a laser beam, energy beam, it can't burn that hair. It just bounces off. It's kind of like a seal, how they have a layer of fat that keeps them warm. It's kind of like that. I would assume.
That's why you didn't see any Wookiees dying in episode 3 when they were on Kashyyyk.
But no, he really did. He was like a Terminator. He kept getting hit left and right.
Getting hit.
And he wouldn't go down.
And then he was dragging his leg at the end. And what's funny is after all that, and they leave, we're not there yet, but after all that, and they go to the wall that you were talking about earlier, to go, hide behind that. He was running just fine. He was like, fine. That's healed now. That's good.
Adrenaline's kicking in.
Yeah, adrenaline's kicking in.
So he gets shot a million times, and then they dogpile on top of him, which I'm like, why are you dogpiling? Why would you just unload on the guy? Like, But so anyway, he's getting lit up. The biker gang, they're dropping left and right, but their numbers just seem to keep on multiplying. I was like, okay, so 3 of you just died, but yet you seem to be the same number of people in the same gang. I don't get it. And so they decide, okay, we're going to go.
Well, they were recruiting as they were running.
Yeah, hey, what
you're in. Do you have one of those crappy bikes?
Yeah. Pick up his gun when he dies, and you pick up and you start firing. And so then they send out the guy looks like Ryan, the guy with the what are they called? Anyway,
he's a Twi'lek. But he goes out there with his little iPad.
Yes,
and he delivers a message that he didn't read before. And
he didn't read it. He just gave it to him. He said, "Hey, these are my demands." And so he's like, "Okay, I will go out there and
I'll negotiate because I'm from Coruscant. You know Coruscant, right? From the prequels.
Yeah." You'll never see it again, but oh well.
You'll never see it again.
You never will because they.
No, you will because they're gonna find Mace Windu's lightsaber and they're gonna give it to Mara Jade.
It's okay, calm down, calm the fuck down. Okay, we're not even there yet. You're jumping too far ahead. See, that's the thing with Ryan. He's like 4 years ahead when it comes to Star Wars. Anyway, so then Twi'lek goes out there with the iPad. And he's like, "Oh, there are no, I'm not going to give you anything. Get out of here. Those aren't my words." and then probably
right when you think he's going to die.
Yeah, right when you think he's finally going to die. Because he holds his gun up to him, he's gonna blast him, and then here comes Boba Fett on his rocket and his jetpack, which I thought was really cool. I was like, finally, we get to see Boba Fett do something. And
because of Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, he's fighting guys. He's using his leg, his knee rockets.
Yeah,
and he's shooting. He's fighting,
just like Robert Rodriguez made him do in Mandalorian when he came out and he looked like boss. He didn't look like an old man that couldn't fight with those other guys that had only shields.
Get me to my back to tank, which he didn't need in The Mandalorian. So, like, why does he all of a sudden need it so bad now? I don't get it. So they get into a huge gunfight, and him and Mando are going toe to toe with all these guys, and they're doing really well. And then they start falling apart, and they're going to hit left and right, like and they're getting shot up, right? And so after all of this, I'm like, okay, so where's the help? Like, they're obviously losing.
And then they're losing, but also these guys, that are shooting, they're only shooting them in the head, in the gauntlets, in the jetpack, and on the chest. Why aren't they shooting them like anywhere where they're
look at all that open space?
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh god, I got him on his armor again. Dang it!
I know. Get him in the arm. Where, on the shoulder?
He's like, shoot him in the head. Okay.
So anyway, they get in this fight. They're getting lit up. And then all of a sudden they can't stand. They're getting hit so hard that they can't even get up, right? So I'm like, okay, so obviously somebody's coming to help because this is very predictable. It's kind of cliche.
Yeah.
And who decides to show up?
One tank. Right?
Full of fighters from Freetown.
But maybe 10 people.
Yeah,
10 people.
And he's got a cannon
from Freetown.
And as soon as they jump off, that cannon gets destroyed right away. It was like, oh, great. I mean, that's your only artillery. It's taken out immediately, right? So they're behind. What was the name of that speeder? Because that was the same speeder that Luke had in his house in Mos Eisley, but it was It was parked in the anyway. Fuck it, I fucked it up. Okay, so they're behind the speeder getting shot at, right?
Okay,
and so things are not looking too good for them. But then all of a sudden, hey, look, they're retreating, and you think, oh, okay, something else is coming now. It's not like they're running away because they're scared.
Yeah.
For some reason, they decide to retreat when the robots come, which you think they'd be like, no, pour it on them, fuck them, you know what I mean? Instead of like, run.
Number one, if you're in a battle, you would send the droidicas or whatever the hell they are first, and be like, yo, just destroy that, whatever the
typical combat is. You send the tanks in first, or you send in your jets to lay down fire, and then you send the troops in afterwards. They do the opposite on most Espa.
Yeah.
So here comes the droidicas. The spiders are walking like this, right? And you're like, oh shit! And they have shields, right?
Yeah.
Well, apparently the shields don't mean shit to them because they're just firing like it's going to get through, and nothing's happening, and they're getting their ass kicked. And now they're in a really bad shape. Instead of going back inside the club, they stay behind the speeder because that's their best form of cover. And so this whole time I'm thinking to myself, oh, I know what's going to happen. This makes sense. Grogu's going to show up with the X-wing that R2 is flying, and then they're going to start lighting up those.
Of course,
big droids.
I mean that's naturally what you would expect. Something really, really phenomenal, good. It makes sense.
I mean, can you imagine, seeing the X-wing flying down, and you hear like,
because it wouldn't. I mean, R2 could man the the guns, and so yeah, he's already flying it, so might as well, right?
Right. But what happens?
Oh, completely opposite.
They run. They go run, and so everyone starts running down the road. And Boba Fett and Mando were like, "We'll hold them here," and they're shooting at them, not doing anything, getting knocked around. And they're literally running from these things, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Boba goes, "I gotta go get help." He's like, "You don't have any more friends left." He goes, "Hold them up here, and I'll return." He flies away.
He flies away. Now, I'm sorry, but the jetpack is not meant for a long flight.
Apparently, it is.
They run out of fuel. This is in the games. I mean, I know all of those. Not canon. But I mean, I'm sorry, but those little things, they use fuel, and yeah, he would not have been able to go where he went.
Possibly. Okay. I can't prove that to be true, so I'm gonna say possibly.
I'm sure
it sounds good to me.
I'm sure some shills. Or people who are going to do the mental gymnastics and be like, well, he flew over to a speeder bike and then used the speeder bike to go the rest of the way.
Well, so we saw how big Mos Espa was, but he flew all the way back to
the palace.
To the palace,
which is not in Mos Espa.
No, it's outside somewhere along the Dune Sea.
It's on the outskirts.
On the outskirts.
And so it's very much like Batman. Batman's out there fighting in Gotham. And he's like, oh shit, I need to go get my Batmobile. So he takes off in the Bat Cycle, and then he returns in his Batmobile.
That's gonna take him a good 2-3 hours to get there and back.
But
that's why Batman.
Robin would be like,
Batman, he can remotely call for it, or Alfred will send it. So it's like it saves time.
Yeah. I mean, and in this day and age, you could have called Danny Trejo.
You could have, but where was he?
Well, where was he? He was at home washing his tights.
So Boba flies off, right? Which is pretty obvious where he's going. I was like, okay, well, this must be the moment. And so then Mando's running around, and who does he run into? Your favorite character, the girl with no eyebrows,
from Mos Eisley. In a pull cart. It wasn't even a speeder.
In a rickshaw.
Yeah, I was like, are you kidding?
Yeah,
I was like, you got all the way over here, found them in that amount of time. I'm sorry, that's just, it's, people are, I understand that a lot of people, again, are going to be like, oh, yeah, she could have done this and that, whatever. It's just, it's really dumb. It looks like that all they did was say, hey, you know what? Some people might not recognize that Mos Eisley and Mos Espa are not the same.
No, they're just like, so you're going to enter stage left.
Yeah.
And so they're in the rickshaw being pulled by a droid. And then they pull up. He's like, "Run! Get out of here! Go quick!" And then they see the spider droid, and they're like,
the droidicas, and they're going so super fast in that little, in that droid.
They're not though.
There's no way that the droidica thing could have caught up with him because he's just walking, and they're going, super
and they were
fast.
hauling ass. They're going at least 45 miles an hour.
No way for that droid to physically, logically follow them at the same speed and keep up with them.
All they had to do was make, go
back to fucking Mos Eisley.
Like 3 left turns, like 2 lefts and a right and a left.
No, they made 3 left turns. They're like, shit, we're back at the same spot.
I know, yeah, exactly. Right. No, but just make a few turns and you're gone. They can't keep up. So they're hauling ass back, and then that's when he finds out, oh, Grogu's here. And it's like, oh, great. Yeah. So instead of coming in the fucking X-Wing, you came on the rickshaw with the girl with no eyebrows, and you're like, "What are you guys doing here?" And she has her little droids with her like, Which, first of all, why are they even there?
Right?
For company? Like, hey, come on, guys, let's go.
It made no sense.
No
other
fucking
than
sense.
It's goofy.
In fact, you know what it reminded me of? It actually reminded me of that scene in Independence Day Resurgence when the father is in the bus. And it's a horrible scene, and all of a sudden they end up in the battle, and it's probably one of the worst scenes in the movie, and the whole movie is bad.
Yeah,
but it reminded me of that because it was kind of like, what the fuck are they doing here?
Yeah,
and so then,
well, it's kind of like 3PO in episode 2 where he's like, oh, die Jedi, and he's
what is wrong with me?
Yeah, exactly. It's very similar to that.
Well, and then in the meantime, the other droid is chasing down the biker gang and Chrysanthemum, and he has this moment where he feels like he can get through the shield, and then he gets kicked. Oh,
yeah.
And then of course the main two, the girl and the black dude with the eyepiece, they're like, let's help him. And then they start getting shot at, and if you notice, he does a spin move when he comes off
God.
of him.
Okay, so Mando did the spin move first, and it looked dope when he was with Boba Fett. But then this guy does a spin move for no reason, and it looks hella ridiculous.
It looks horrible. You're just like, what are you doing, dude? And
it just looks online like he was dancing.
Yeah, it was like, and Rodriguez shot that and was like, hey, yeah, that's fire.
Yeah, that's fire.
So they look like idiots. They're shooting. Then they make it to another area where they get behind this wall. And I don't know what the fuck this wall is made out of, but it must have been made out of Beskar, because that big droid and all those troops were shooting that wall made out of dirt, and that shit, it would have got pulverized.
They were protected. They were far more protected there than they were in the Rebel over at the club. And so that just shows you that little girl on the motorcycle was completely wrong about where the stronghold should have been.
Yeah, exactly. Now, to jump to the chase here, what happens? Here comes Boba Fett on the Rancor.
So I'm sorry. Again, same logic. From the palace, riding a Rancor, it took him no time for them to return to that area of town.
It'd be one thing if like a ship came and dropped them off.
Them? Yeah, like a drop ship? Yeah. And he sort of, gets, the cargo bay drops, and they're there, and they come down, and they proceed to, for carnage, they just destroy all that. It's fine. This made no sense.
Made no sense at all. So he fights it. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Cloverfield. Like, this look how awkward. And he eats one guy, and the guy goes, my troops are either dead or they're eaten. Well, he only ate one of them, so I don't know about that.
And they ate him in the exact same angle and way that the Gamorrean guard from Return of the Jedi got eaten. So they're like, we don't want to get too graphic or violent, so let's do the exact same thing so nobody can rip on us. Exactly. Some people will say, oh no, he did it. It was an homage to that, but it's just, come on. I mean, how many homages do you need in these Disney Plus shows?
So at the end of the day, they save the biker gang, and they beat the Syndicate because Fennec shows up and she shoots through the ceiling and kills everybody and hangs the hammerhead.
She's hella dope.
How she shot through the ceiling, I have no idea. How she
nobody really knows, but I mean that's a story for another time.
Because nobody really knows. And at the end of the day, they are friends again, and he gives what's his face, this guy, a piece of fruit.
Chrysanthemum. Yeah, he gives him a melon.
And then they all live happily ever after. And then they move on.
Mando puts little Grogu in the little dome on his ship, especially what that thing was made for. So Mando had a premonition, so did the girl with no eyebrows. They knew that little Grogu was going to be in there. He was going to choose the mithril and not choose the lightsaber.
So guys, let us know what you think about the episode down below in the comment section below. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, and consider being a member and join the Patreon. But overall, I thought this episode, I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10. Ryan, what do you give it?
The episode itself, I'll give it a good 6.
6.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6. What do you think about the end credit scene?
The end credit scene was like, cool. We're going to get more of the Marshal, which I cared very little about. I was like,
well, I mean, he does have to replace Gina Carano.
There you go. So guys, leave us your comments in the comment section below. What do you think of the season finale of Boba Fett, and what do you think of the season in total? We'll respond to all your comments. Remember to smash the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.